Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today is Monday, 13th June 2016. So we'll start with our prayers first. Narayanam namaskritya
Narayanam namaskrityam
narottamam
naram chaiva narottamam
devim saraswatim vyasam
devim saraswatim vyasam
tato jayamudirayet
tato jayamudirayet
nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu
ashtaprayeshu bhadreshu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityam bhagavata sevaya
bhagavate uttama shloke
bhagavati uttama shloke
bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya.
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 Om Namo
vasudevaya.
So today we are going to discuss about Canto 1, Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Canto 1, Chapter 2. So we just taken one shloka from that chapter for recitation, and that shloka is shloka number 6 from the second chapter. So we'll chant this. Sa vai pumsam paro dharmo
Sa vai pumsam paro dharmo
yato bhaktir adhokshaje
bhaktir adhokshaje
ahetuki apratihata
ahaituki apratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati.
Sa vai pumsam paro dharmo
Sa vai pumsam paro
yato bhaktir adhokshaje
yato bhaktir adhokshaje
ahetuki apratihata
ahaituki apratihata
yayatma suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati.
Shweta Mataji, you can chant.
Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo
Sa vai pumsam paro dharmo
Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje
Yato bhaktir adhokshaje
Ahaituki Aparitaha Apratihata
ahetuki
ahaituki
apratihata
apratihata
Yayatma Suprasidati.
yayatma suprasidati. Saha
saha
That.
vai
vai
certainly
Certainly.
pumsam
pumsam
for mankind
for mankind
Fine.
paraha
Paraha.
sublime.
Sublime.
Dharmaha,
Dharma.
occupation.
Occupation.
Yataha,
Yataha.
Yataha.
by which
Which.
By which
bhaktihi,
Bhakti.
Tihi.
devotional service.
Devotional service.
Adokshaje,
Devotional service.
Dokshade.
unto the
Dokshaje.
transcendence.
Unto the transcendence.
Ahetuki,
Ahetuki.
Tuki.
causeless.
Causeless.
Cause.
Apratihata,
Apratihata.
unbroken.
Apratihata.
Broken.
Unbroken.
Yaya,
Yaya.
Yaya.
by which.
By
Which
Atma,
Atma
the self.
Atma.
Suprasidati,
Suprasidati
completely
Suprasiditi.
satisfied.
Completely satisfied.
Translation. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So please repeat. The supreme occupation
The supreme occupation
for all humanity
for all humanity
is that by
For
which
all humanity.
that
By which
men can attain to loving devotional service
men can attain to loving devotional service
unto the transcendent Lord.
unto the transcendent Lord.
Such devotional service
such devotional
Such
service
devotional service
motivated
must be unmotivated
motivated
and uninterrupted
and
and uninterrupted
to completely satisfy the self.
to completely satisfy the self.
self.
Thank you. So now you can mute your mics, please. So in the first chapter, we saw the questions of the sages represented by Shaunaka Rishi. They asked all the questions to Suta Goswami. And now Suta Goswami has started replying. You know, there were basically 6 questions, but not very distinct 6 questions. They're all overlapping. But all the same, Suta Goswami has taken note of all the questions, and now he's going to reply. And his reply is going to be in length. You know, it's not going to be some short reply, because these questions they asked are the essence of all the Vedic literatures. You know, they just wanted to know. The very first question was, please tell us in essence. You know, essence itself is going to run into, you know, tens of thousands of shlokas. So they want to know how a man can benefit, how a human being can benefit. What is the ultimate benefit? What is the ultimate goal of life? So this is the very fundamental question. How to get that? And Suta Goswami has taken note of that. And I have been telling last couple of days that we are going to learn a lot of etiquettes here in Bhagavatam. So now, as the first etiquette, he offers his pranams, dandavats, to his spiritual masters, to his superiors. First you have to acknowledge. Otherwise we become proud, you know, that, oh, I have done, it's mine. I am the one who knows. I am the one who is telling. So he doesn't want to go in that direction. You know, he really wants to know. I mean, wants to follow the proper etiquettes. So he immediately, as I said, starts first glorifying Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami is the one who spoke the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So he's just glorifying, because Shukadeva Goswami was one liberated from the birth. You know, he just left his home without undergoing any of the transformations, like reformation, that we need to do all that, right? As human beings, we are required to undergo all the reformation. When we are born, we are like a raw material, and that has to be molded into something useful, nice. So we have to undergo so many types of education. But Shukadeva Goswami had no such fear. He was that is called as a Nitya Mukta, eternally liberated. And of course, his father, Vyasadeva, he also could not talk to him. The moment he was born, first of all, he was not prepared to be born. And then he was born after 16 years in the womb of the mother. And like a grown-up person, he just walks out of the house and directly into the forest. And Vyasadeva is following him, trying to stop him. So Suta Goswami wants to first pay his obeisances to him. And he says that Shukadeva Goswami agreed to narrate Bhagavatam for the benefit of the masses through Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj went to him in a very critical situation when he was about to die in 7 days. So, first of all, Suta Goswami says that we must offer our prayers to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we recite, and what the first prayer he suggests? Narayana Namaskritya. We chant it every day. So the meaning of that particular shloka, Narayanam Namaskritya, is that one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So this is the practice. Like we take their blessing, especially before sitting on the Vyasasana. So now, next what he does he glorifies all the sages there. And he glorifies their questions. He says, wow, your questions are perfect. That is what you should be asking, rather than saying, oh, when I will get promotion, this my spiritual master has not given me second initiation, please recommend my name, and all that, the personal problems. I don't go along with this other devotee. No, that's why first of all they chose Shaunaka Rishi. And then Shaunaka Rishi, also representing all of them, asked these wonderful questions, which Suta Goswami himself is appreciating. He's saying, this is the best questions I ever heard. So now I have to give you answers, right? So he starts now telling, what is the first question? What is the best for the human beings? So he says, you should perform devotional service to that Supreme Lord, the Absolute Truth, Shri Krishna. And like what we read today's shloka, in that it came, your devotional service should be ahetuki, unmotivated, not with some material desires, unmotivated, just for pleasing the Lord. That is the process. Just everything that we do in devotional service is for pleasing the Lord. He is the goal, He is the object, and He is the subject. We don't do it for our pleasure, We get a pleasure, no doubt. But the goal is not to please ourselves. Like, people say, I get a lot of shanti. That's a byproduct. I get a lot of happiness. That's also a byproduct. The real product is the satisfaction of the Lord. And uninterrupted. Apratihata means should not be some part-time job, Most of the time we are busy in our work and this and that and everything, and then just as a duty, as our dharma, we do a little something here and there. No. It should be uninterrupted. Then only you will get complete satisfaction. Of course, coming to the practical side of that, we have to keep our body and soul together. We have to keep this body healthy. To serve Krishna, also we require this body to be healthy, right? If we are sick, what kind of service can we do? So for that purpose, we are required to do some work. Even some material work, like making some Lakshmi to run the family, to feed everybody. That's there. Nowhere it says that you should avoid that or you should reject that. What is said is that don't get attached to sense gratification. As I was reading all the shlokas and the purports for today's chapter, repeatedly that point comes that our activity should be for pleasure of Krishna, and we have to get more and more attached to that rather than to the material sense gratification. For example, in 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, when he asked Krishna, what is the reason for our committing sins? Knowingly, unknowingly, we keep committing sins. Why it happens? And Krishna says, it is lust, kama. That makes you do all the sins. But then, how to stop that? And the easiest formula is to develop lust for Krishna. If you are lusty for Krishna's service, for Krishna's satisfaction, meaning bringing Krishna into center of our life, then it's easy, Krishna consciousness means, first of all, you have to be conscious, you have to be aware of Krishna's presence. You have to be aware of our relationship with Krishna of master and servant. And that's what is called as Krishna consciousness. So, even when we are doing our material activities, we have to keep Krishna in our mind. Like when Arjuna was given the whole Bhagavad Gita discourse, he was told, okay, go and fight now while remembering me, So he didn't say only fight. He says, you fight while remembering me, then you will be successful. Same way, we have to do that. By practice, by design. Okay, I want to do like this. I want to get rid of some of the problem that I am having, some obstacles in my devotional service. So for that, the formula is do whatever is required for your progress in Krishna consciousness. Accept it and then be firm in that. And reject whatever is not required, which can be an impediment. Reject it and be firm in that. That be firm. Dhrida nishchaya. That's the key. Everything we have to do, we require enthusiasm and determination. These are the two factors always there. If one of them is missing, then we can't get the results. We can't achieve what we want. So here, dharma, if you saw Prabhupada says occupation. Generally, dharma means people say religion. Oh, I am Hindu, I am Muslim. That's dharma. No. For the first time, when I read it first time, I was saying, wow, this is a new thing. I never heard about it from anybody else. And then Srila Prabhupada explains very nicely that dharma is your constitutional duty. That is dharma, constitutional occupation. And he gave an example of a sugar, He says the dharma of sugar is to be sweet, right? So that's its essential characteristic. So same way, our dharma is to serve. Serve, because when we, of course, dharma mainly they say, it's love, to love. But the moment you say love, there has to be service. When mother says, I love my son or daughter, immediately the next thing is service, right? You keep saying somebody, I love you, and don't do anything, that love is not going to last for long. So, unless we do all this labor that we are trying to do in the service of the Lord, our results will be always lacking, Mostly it is failure. Srila Prabhupada always used to say, Shrama hi kevala vyartha. Kevala shrama. They're just doing labor, no results. But moment Krishna comes in our life, then all those activities that we do are, Thursday I was telling you about Sukruti. It goes into your Sukruti account, and that keeps you, slowly we get away from the other things, the material sense gratification. So you develop a higher taste, the lower taste automatically goes. Right? As a child, we were hankering for dolls and cars, and so we had a taste for them. But when we grow up, then we did the real thing, real car, real. Now somebody gifts you a car or a doll. We may just, for etiquette's sake, say, okay, good, thank you, but will not be pleased because our taste has changed. So same way, when we become a devotee, our taste changes. We get a higher taste, prasadam, chanting, spiritual activities, service. So then slowly our attraction for the lower taste goes. Don't have to try it, artificially. Automatically it happens. So, Sutta Goswami says, all occupational engagements, meaning all that we do, the goal should be Krishna's pleasure, or at least to start with, okay, you are not, you don't have still developed the Krishna's love. Then at least it should be for liberation, at least moksha. But as the devotee gets absorbed in this devotional service, then the moksha also becomes insignificant. Srila Rupa Goswami said the moksha is like the water contained in a footprint of a cow. How much water will come in that, on the sand? The footprint is there and water. Compared to the ocean, which is there, like an devotional service is like an ocean. So when we are doing all this, it's not that, okay, you do it one-sided and you will not get anything. No, you will get the best. Because the sadhus here are asking, what is the best for the human beings, for the masses? They're suffering so much. Please tell us. So, again, the emphasis is get away from your pure material activities, where no Krishna involved, not even in the mind. I remember in Bangalore when we started first going to the temple and slowly getting the taste of Krishna consciousness in 1970s. Sorry, 1980s, early 1980s. There's a batch of engineers, some 3-4 of them. They joined together, they just came into Krishna consciousness together as friends. They heard some class lecture somewhere and they became interested, and then they came, and next week they come with the chanting beads, chanting bag, chanting. And then after a few months, we were discussing with them, their experience. Because they were used to ask the questions on how to do it practically, like. So when it came to chanting, they did an experiment, because when people say, oh, and at job we cannot do this, this. So they're all machine operators. They were running the automatic, machines were automatic, but still an operator is required to keep an eye on that. So they were doing that job, production job. So they asked the supervisor, sir, can we chant while we are standing in front of the machine, He naturally said, no, what is this? This is a German company, Bosch. How can you do that? They said, sir, but what do you want from us? You want production, right? We assure you, there will be no drop in production. If it happens, you stop us. But allow us, so that we want to have more concentration, We want to give you better production. Somehow that supervisor was a good person. So he said, okay, I just give you 3-4 days, if in that period something happens, then I will have to stop it. So the devotees become very happy. Next day they brought their chanting bags with them. And they hung it on the machine handle, there is no handle available. They hung the chanting bag and they put their hand in that, and then they're chanting and then they're watching the machine. Something goes, they just take out their hand. Again, there's a cloth there to wash, wipe the hand. Again, do it. And to the surprise of the supervisor and the whole company for that matter, they found that the productivity is increased, because now earlier they were simply machine is running and so you have a tendency to chit chat and, talk to here, there, some gossiping or something. Now they are all focused. And the supervisor was naturally very happy. The management was happy and they said, okay, but please keep it in mind that, this is the first time we are doing it, and then you should not bring any bad remarks on yourself. And that worked. I'm just giving an example. So, no doubt, as I said, we should have a healthy life. For that, we always eat only sattvic food offered to Krishna, and then we eat the remnants. That's required, no doubt about that. But at the same time, we always have at the back of our mind, we are supposed to have Krishna at the back of our mind always. So, this is not only theory, this is practical, because thousands and thousands and millions of devotees have practiced this, experienced this, and seen the results. And then the devotees, the difference between devotees and others is that, the God realization is at 3 levels. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Of course, maybe one day we'll take a class only on that, So it's not enough to say, somebody says, okay, the supreme truth is Brahman. So we merge into Brahman. We lose our identity and we merge, and then that's the end of everything. And some see the Lord as a 4-handed form, Chaturbhuja, Narayana form. And then they meditate on that. All these rishis and all in Himalaya, they do that. Then they have Paramatma realization. It's localized. It's here with me. Like that. That's why they say, you have to see it inside and not outside and so on and so on. And then there's a Bhagavan realization. Bhagavan is a person. In the beginning of the Bhagavatam, when we started the introduction, we saw that. How God is a person. How Krishna is a person. So that realization means knowing completely Krishna and then our relationship with Krishna. Completely, when I say, it's a relative term because nobody can know Krishna completely, but to a large extent, I would say. So this Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, these realizations, at different levels. Just I'll give you a small example. A train coming from a distance and you are standing on the rail track in the evening, what do you see? You see only a light coming, right? You can't see anything else. And when, suppose you are standing by the side of the track and the whole rail passes in front of you. So you see there is compartments, there's an engine, there's a guard, there are some people you can see, not because it's going in a speed. That is called as, the first is the Brahman realization. The second is Paramatma realization. You see that form, everything. And then the train stops at the platform and then you go there and you see there, oh my God, there's so many people there. There's the guard and the engine driver and the talking and, and inside there are so many things. So now you know the complete train. You know that there are some relationships also. So that is called as Bhagavan realization. When we see all these Leelas of Bhagavan and the Bhagavatam and everything. It is just as simply explained. So we have to learn from those who have already experienced. That's why we say we take advice of our spiritual master, the senior devotees and so on, because they have seen, they know. They experience. Krishna also says, they can tell you the absolute truth because they have seen it. He says, serve a Tattvadarshi, is a transcendentalist who has seen, and if you serve and ask questions, then you can get that knowledge also. That's the system. So we should be having a one-pointed attention. One pointed. Your goal should be only Krishna conscious. How to please Krishna, how to serve Krishna. That's why even the word bhakti, whenever it comes, the Sanskrit word bhakti, the English translation is always devotional service. Srila Prabhupada never said just devotion. He said devotion, because just devotion is, what is the meaning of that? As I told you about love, if you're simply saying love and not serving, then there's no use. So we have to surrender, we have to ultimately take shelter of. And how do we do that? So Sutta Goswami said, the intelligent people, the intelligent means spiritually intelligent people, they cut the knots. Knots are, we are all bound in the material world. The main problem in the material world is bandhan, binding, the guna. When we say three guna, sattva, rajas, tamaha, these three gunas. So guna means in Sanskrit rope. It's quality also, it rope also. Rope, what does the rope do? Bind. So these transcendentally, these devotees of the Lord, what they did, they cut down this knot of tying you down with the sword of knowledge, So they stopped their karma and they stopped collecting sukruti in abundance. And that's why they could reach the highest goal. And then some of them are called as twice born, Dvija. Twice born meaning you have a material birth from the womb of the mother. And then there is a second birth, which is when you become qualified to perform service to the Lord. You take a Brahmana Diksha. So that is called a Dvija, twice born. So that means your spiritual journey has started now. Your material journey is over and now you're taken a new birth as a spiritual entity. So what they are doing is just spreading the message of Vasudeva, Krishna. The second, and how do we achieve that? The second shloka that we chant, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. By nityam, by regularly attending these classes, by regularly reading, hearing, we develop this bhakti, you know. So whatever is there troublesome in the heart, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu. Abhadreshu means all dirt. Everything gets cleansed. And then you can do loving devotional service to the Lord. You know, this is that's why we also chant that second shloka every day. So all this lust, desires, hankering, everything, as I said, starts going out of your life. You are no more interested in them. You know, like what you used to, you yourself see, before becoming a devotee and after becoming a devotee, has your lifestyle changed? Have your likes and dislikes changed? Definitely. I mean, I'm saying that. I want you to also, during question and answer, you can tell me that. So, I think it's time for me to stop. We'll not complete this chapter today. We'll do it tomorrow. Okay? Because there is a still lot to go, and I don't want to take too long, you know. Let's not be in a hurry to finish everything. Let's start to digest slowly. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, comments, you want to add something, you share your realization, please go ahead.